Welcome YouTube viewers, Mikey Swartz here. Today working on a 2017 Toyota Tundra. Really nice truck. Not my truck, by the way, friend of mine. He just spent some bucks on these here RCI skid plates and they look really fancy. Aluminum. Hey, how thick are these? Hand me that tape measure. 1/4 inch thick. There's a dropout here that opens up so you can still change your oil without pulling the plate back off. Apparently you can buy these separate. This is the front. This is the transmission and transfer case cover. Also 1/4 inch thick aluminum. For how big they are, they're actually not too heavy because they're aluminum. I'm used to working with steel, you know? So we're gonna install these, see how hard it is to put them on, and see what they look like when we're done. I scanned over the directions already, and they're telling me to put the front skid plate on first, so that's what we're gonna start with. First thing we gotta do is remove the original skid plate, this flimsy little thing, check it out. Not much to it, it's practically plastic. I mean, it's really actually thin sheet metal, and there really isn't much to it. I mean, it is gonna do its job, but it only comes back to here. You can see everything's exposed under here. This is your oil pan for the engine. Here's your front differential, you know, and here's your oil pan for the transmission, all exposed. So I think this is actually a really good upgrade if you're gonna be wheeling your Tundra, any kind of off-road use. I'd say it's actually kind of a must-have because everything's exposed under here. Last thing you wanna do is knock a hole in this little guy, you know? So let's get to ripping this stock plate off. Bear's here to give me a hand.
Give you a hand?
3 bolts come out right here to hold the bottom of the bumper on. The rest of the bolts are hidden up inside these holes. And these are 12 mils?
Yes, they're 12 mils, and so you know, I did not loosen this one yet.
So they're not too tight. Of course, this truck's only a year old. To get this thing off, you gotta slide it over towards the driver's side because there's these little hooks in here that grab on. That's what holds that up in there until you get the bolts in. So here's what she looks like with it exposed. You definitely wouldn't want to be driving around too much with no skid plate. You can see where your oil filter goes. That's where that little hatch lid is. That'll let you change your oil without pulling the skid plate. Pretty nice feature. If you have a stock bumper, you're going to want to drop these little carriage bolts into these 3 spots in the front and then grab 3 of your lock nuts and tighten the lock nuts up on there. You're really not bolting anything down right now. So when you're done putting these in, they should look like this. Probably a 2-man job putting this up in here now, so me and Bear are going to join forces like Voltron.
Ready to form Voltron. Activate interlock.
This comes with 5 new bolts that are probably just a little longer. And they're going right back in where the factory skid plate bolts were.
The factory bolts that came out were 12 millimeter head. These are actually 13 millimeter head.
That's because those are aftermarket bolts. That's how it usually goes. And these are countersunk too, I see. So you're gonna need an extension to get these on. Hold up. Don't make them tight yet. You want to be able to still move it around. We're just getting these started right now. We're not tightening anything up because we got 2 more bolts to put in here at the rear. Okay, now we got these carriage bolts that go up through from the bottom and these little half moon guys that go on the top. We're lined up pretty good there, but of course we didn't tighten this down yet, so you can still move that around. Since we got the second skid plate that's going to cover all this stuff, we're going to leave these carriage bolts at the back loose. That way you can drop this down because that second skid plate slides into place underneath this one. Check these 3 bolts at the front, make sure that bumper is going to pop into place like that. And then you can go ahead and tighten all your bolts. Now if you didn't get the second skid plate that covers the trans and the transfer case, just go ahead and tighten these up now. If you're only putting the front piece on, you're done at this point. Easy job. Now we're going to continue on though with our second skid plate here. Looks like a pretty easy job. First thing we got to do though, bolt up this bracket that everything's going to go attached to. So this is going to go up like so. right underneath your cross member that's here that holds your transmission in. Carriage bolts go up through.
Don't do this when you just shut the engine off because the exhaust will be really hot and it will burn you. Little pro tip.
That's an amateur tip. So this is what our bracket looks like installed. Yours should look just like that. Oh look, I see our customer's been wheeling a little bit. Oh, that would void your factory warranty right there if the Toyota dealership saw that. So now me and Bear are gonna work together to put the skid plate up into place. Remember we left these carriage bolts loose? You know, if you fast forwarded through the beginning of this because you already had your front one installed, you'll want to loosen these bolts up right now. But we left ours loose when we put this on, because what you're going to do now is pull down on this. Of course, you have to line these up. Pull down on this, and then your buddy can slide that secondary skid plate right into place. Of course, those little notches have to line up with the bolts when you push it in there. And then you got 4 slots at the back that you got to put your carriage bolts up through, and then of course a washer and a lock nut on top.
A little tight right here beside the transfer case.
Bear's never had anything that tight before. As you can see, this one right here next to the transfer case is a little tight to get to. So Bear might not be able to get his fat bear claws in there. I might have to do it myself. What? I'd say after you get all these started, give this thing a push from the back. Make sure these are in here nice and snug.
I can't get my arm in there.
All right, here, film me so I can edit out all the parts of you working on it, and I'll just put me in there.
The only 2 bolts he's tightening down on this entire project.
Couldn't have did it without me, huh, Bear?
Uh-huh.
This one that's under the transfer case, I'd say a flat ratchet wrench would probably be best. And I think I can reach through underneath this transfer case and get to it. That's working really good. You can see here how we got to get under that transfer case. So this is a tricky one. Let's say we're done. Pretty quick, easy install. With these lock nuts they included, don't have to worry about anything coming loose either. Pretty quality product here that RCI Off-Road's come up with. Hey guys, if you watched this far, I'm sure you liked the video. Click the like button for me, please. And if you're interested, check out my 05 Tacoma. I got a video where I made a custom high clearance skid plate for that truck. So take a look at that too. I'll put the link up on the screen right now. And if you can, leave me a comment. See you guys.